A dramatic surge in cyber attacks worldwide has marked a new era in global conflict, where the battleground is neither land, sea, nor air, but rather the invisible digital networks crucial to civilization. This threat not only targets the infrastructure of major nations, but also penetrates the core of corporate life, essential services, and even individual privacy. The scale of this crisis is so vast that it demands deep reflection, not just on technology and security, but also on the foundation of human ethics and spirituality itself. In the United Kingdom, for instance, the government's cyber watchdog, the National Cybersecurity Center, NCSC, which is part of GCHQ, has reported a shocking escalation in cybersecurity incidents. The latest figures show a surprising 50% increase in highly significant cyber attacks over the past year, a statistic that has sent shockwaves across industrial and governmental sectors. This phenomenon, equivalent to 4 major attacks every week against the UK's essential services and national security, is not a local anomaly, but a reflection of a much darker global trend. The interconnectedness of modern systems means a breach in one region can quickly propagate, creating systemic risk across international borders. The economic impact of cybercrime has reached staggering levels, transforming it into one of the largest economic forces globally. Some worldwide estimates indicate that the total damages resulting from cybercrime could reach figures between $8 trillion and $10.5 trillion USD annually by 2025. If measured as a country, the losses due to cybercrime would rank as the world's third largest economy, trailing only the United States and China. These figures represent not just stolen money but also lost productivity, data corruption, intellectual property theft, forensic costs, and post-attack business disruption. Ransomware, as one of the most effective weapons used by digital criminals, continues to evolve into a more sophisticated and destructive threat. Global losses from ransomware alone are projected to swell to tens of billions of dollars, targeting businesses every few seconds. This pace demonstrates how rapidly this form of crime is outpacing current defensive capabilities. These attacks leverage the most fundamental weak point in any system, the human factor. In fact, global reports from the World Economic Forum and various cybersecurity firms consistently find that human error is the primary cause, accounting for up to 95% of all cybersecurity breaches. This is a modern irony. While we spend billions reinforcing technological stacks and firewalls, our systems remain vulnerable due to human factors such as credential misuse, carelessness, and failure to follow established security protocols. It is in this context that reflection on ethics and responsibility becomes incredibly important and urgent. The technological arms race against cybercriminals is futile without addressing the fundamental flaws in human judgment and adherence to duty. Responsibility in the digital world, from an Islamic perspective, is deeply rooted in the concept of Amanah. Amanah refers to the trust or responsibility that must be carried out with honesty and justice, both in interpersonal relationships and in safeguarding entrusted rights. When a person manages data or a system, they hold a great amanah, the trust to protect the confidentiality, integrity, and availability of that information. This concept elevates data management from a technical task to a moral obligation. The Quran explicitly commands believers to render trusts to those to whom they are due, a principle directly relevant to digital ethics. This moral imperative is captured directly in the Quran, which states, "Indeed, Allah commands you to render trust to whom they are due, and when you judge between people to judge with justice." Surah An-Nisa, chapter 4, verse 58. This verse lays the foundation for a universal ethical duty to act as responsible and just custodians of data. The principle is non-negotiable, applying to transactions and information management in every age. Furthermore, in the realm of digital privacy, Islamic teachings provide very strict guidelines against actions that undermine information security and social trust. These guidelines predate the digital age but are perfectly applicable to it. For instance, the prohibition against excessive suspicion, spying, tajassus, or searching for others' faults, and backbiting, ghibah, can be directly applied to the ethics of technology and data usage. The Quran warns against these breaches of social trust, stating, "O believers, avoid immoderate suspicion, for in some cases suspicion is a sin, and do not spy on one another, nor backbite one another." Surah Al-Hujurat, chapter 49, verse 12. This verse provides a robust ethical framework for combating invasive cyber threats, such as spyware or data exfiltration. It underscores the sanctity of personal space, even digital space. The prohibition against spying asserts that accessing another person's data or system without permission constitutes a serious ethical and legal violation. This forms the basis for digital trespass laws. This principle extends to forbidding phishing, system breaches, or using backdoors to steal information. These acts are not merely technical crimes but moral failings rooted in a violation of trust. Even in the context of digital communication ethics, the Quran calls for caution in receiving and spreading news, which is critically important in countering the proliferation of misinformation and disinformation. The expansion of cyber threats has forced organizations, from the financial sector to healthcare services, to return to the fundamentals of risk management. This involves a sober assessment of vulnerabilities. The head of GCHQ in the UK emphasized that cyber attacks will inevitably get through, and therefore companies must have robust crisis plans in place. Acknowledging vulnerability is the first step to resilience. Ironically, the most fundamental advice given is to revert to using paper-based and manual emergency plans, an acknowledgement that technology, no matter how advanced, cannot fully replace physical readiness and resilience. The story of Collins Aerospace, which provides support for many airlines, demonstrates that the carriers which recovered fastest from a major attack were those capable of switching to manual check-in and non-digital emergency procedures. This confirms that true resilience is not just about preventing an attack, but about the ability to resume operations swiftly after an incident occurs. Downtime reduction is a crucial metric. Risk management, therefore, must encompass the worst-case scenario where the entire digital system is completely paralyzed. This requires imagination and investment in analog redundancies. On the other side of the world, in North America, small to mid-sized businesses, SMBs, are becoming soft targets, with more than half of cyber attacks directed at them. More alarmingly, 60% of SMBs that fall victim to a data breach or hack go out of business within 6 months. This highlights the catastrophic impact on smaller operations. This statistic shows that while media focus often lands on large-scale attacks against multinationals like JLR, Marks & Spencer, or the Co-op Group, the most fatal impact is felt by the economic backbone, small and medium enterprises. In Asia, particularly in countries with high digital adoption rates like India and Indonesia, cyber threats often take the form of digital fraud and business email compromise, BEC. The high use of mobile devices and social media platforms makes the public vulnerable to phishing schemes and fraud based on social engineering. The convenience of mobile is matched by its vulnerability. This indicates that the cyber threat is omni-channel, attacking wherever there is a digital connection. Attack vectors are fluid and constantly changing to match user habits. The solution to this crisis lies not only in strengthening technology, but also in increasing human awareness and ethics. The problem is deeply socio-technical. The concept of human risk management, HRM, emerges as a comprehensive approach centered on understanding, measuring, and mitigating the risks associated with human behavior within an organization. HRM strives to transform employees from the weakest link into the first line of defense. This shift in perspective is critical for effective security. Continuous cybersecurity education and training are the primary keys. Training should not only focus on what to do, but on understanding why it must be done, building a security culture rooted in responsibility and ethics. An organization that successfully instills a culture of Amanah among its employees indirectly builds a digital fortress far stronger than the most sophisticated firewall. This is security from the inside out. When discussing generative artificial intelligence, Gen AI, new concerns arise. Many companies fear that Gen AI could lead to sensitive data leaks, and most are not fully prepared with specific strategies to counter AI-driven threats. AI can be leveraged by cybercriminals to create far more convincing and personalized phishing attacks, exponentially increasing the risk of human error. The bar for sophisticated attack creation is lowered dramatically. This threat is also geopolitical in nature. Experts worldwide warn that state-sponsored groups, nation-state actors, and organized criminal operations could strike multiple sectors simultaneously: energy, finance, healthcare, and transport, potentially triggering a cascading crisis. Collective action and cross-border cooperation are vital because cybercriminality is inherently transnational. The digital border is effectively non-existent. Amidst all this complexity, the role of global law enforcement must be enhanced. The rapid and effective sharing of threat information across jurisdictional and sectoral boundaries will be key to bringing cybercriminals to justice. However, this process is often slow, considering that law enforcement is often organized locally, while digital crime operates globally. This disconnect creates a significant enforcement gap. The European Union, for example, continues to struggle to harmonize cyber policies among its member states, reflecting the coordination challenges faced by the world. Progress is measured in years, not months. Reverting to universal values, Islam offers timeless ethical solutions for contemporary digital challenges. This moral anchor provides stability amidst technological volatility. The concept of istiqamah, steadfastness and consistency, in carrying out ethical principles is key in a rapidly changing digital environment. Consistency in using strong passwords, adhering to protocols, and not being tempted by suspicious links are tangible forms of digital istiqamah. Small, repeated actions build a defense. The principle of ihsan, which means doing everything with excellence as if you see God, or at least realizing that He sees you, is also highly relevant. If every user and system administrator acts with the awareness of ihsan, intentional data leaks or digital ethical violations would be drastically reduced, as the motivation is not merely to avoid punishment, but to maintain quality and integrity. Digital resilience, therefore, is a synthesis of cutting-edge technology and ancient ethics. It is a harmonious blend of hardware, software, and hardware. Resilience is not about purchasing the latest software, but about empowering the human being, the individual holding the Amanah, with knowledge, awareness, and responsibility. Only in this way can we overcome the surge in cyber attacks that threatens global stability and realize a digital environment that is secure and ethical. The entire global community, from governments to corporations, to every individual Internet user, must realize their role as custodians of the Amanah in the cyberspace. The surge in cyber attacks is a loud alarm for the entire world. It is a stark reminder that technological progress must be balanced with ethical maturity. We must prepare for the worst-case scenario, not just with technology, but with pen, paper, and most importantly, with solid principles. Let us make cybersecurity an integral part of our moral responsibility. Given the complexity of this threat and the need for clear guidance, we invite all of you to continue following a deep exploration of digital ethics, security, and relevant spiritual teachings on the channel QURANxINSIGHT. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel so that we can collectively build a digital awareness that is safer, more ethical, and meaningful.